Hey everyone, welcome back to AI Insights. My name is Fleur Prince. I'm the founder of the podcast AI Insights, and today we're doing another interview. I'm here together with Cosimo and Omer, who are the founders of MindStash. Can you guys tell us a bit more who you are?
So my name is Cosimo, co-founder and CEO of MindStash. And maybe to briefly start off, I've always seen myself as an inventor. Also looking back as a child when I was like 10, 11 or so, and somebody asked me what I wanted to be, I was always saying I want to be an Erfinder, which is the German word for inventor. And really that kind of theme has dragged through my life and the meandering path I followed, my curiosities. And I started off studying theoretical mathematics and philosophy, where then later transitioned into the tech ecosystem, working in sales and optimization consultancy for enterprise clients within Europe. And then after a while, I got kind of bored of the corporate life, and I decided to go back and study the human brain and AI, our artificial counterpart, and where that intersection between the two worlds lies. And this is then also where kind of MindStash came in. And it's exploring the intersection between the human brain and the artificial brain, and how we can change that relationship we have with our digital landscape and our mental landscape.
Yeah, and for myself, my name is Omer. For me, everything started in MIT, which is a 3-year MIT program that teaches excellent young students entrepreneurship, leadership studies, and computer science. There, I was opened up to the world of entrepreneurship. And after winning some competition in front of Facebook executives, I understood that one can really change the world through innovation. And since then, that was my mission. In the last 7 years, I've been building the toolbox to one day create something of my own with a dear friend. Then I moved to Amsterdam to study biology and neuroscience, while also working in the real estate sector, leading projects in property tech and sustainability. And now together with my good friend, now co-founder Cosimo, we're building MindStash, where our mission is to unlock people's potential, intellectual potential, by giving them a tool that enhances their curiosity and let them capture whatever they want across any medium, any piece of information that they're interested in instantly, and to explore it and indulge in it, which is a solution for the modern problem of information overload, having so many things bombarded at us, at our attention, but no real tools of capturing what matters. And people have all this kind of suboptimal coping mechanisms of trying to remind themselves for later on the things that they want to remember, the things that they care about. And they send themselves a WhatsApp message, screenshots, and so on, to try to capture the information, the book recommendation, the business that they want to look into. And now with MindSearch, there's a new way of doing all of that and so much more.
When I moved to Amsterdam and I met Omer, and we became really good friends and had many, many long night conversations about the brain and our existence and consciousness and etc., which we were both very fascinated by. And then eventually the idea also of MindStash came out of this entire evolution of following curiosities, of being always interested in figuring out what is behind something, trying to understand it. And eventually I hit a frustration point of finding so many different things that are of value to me. A podcast recommendation, a book recommendation, an article that somebody talked about in a conversation. And I'm just like, oh, wait, let me quickly type this into Google, make a screenshot. And then all of these things always just disappeared because there was no way of capturing it. And I love photography. So capturing the word, we use it a lot at MindStash. And it's, I think what MindStash is in a way as well is enabling people to capture information when normally we don't have the ability to do so. And all of these frustrations kind of built up, and eventually I was at the point of okay, crap it. I'm just gonna build it myself. I'm gonna build a tool which lets me capture all of these information wherever I am in the digital space and kind of feed it into one centralized location, which is my curiosity companion. And then I built the initial MVP to kind of kick it off, and Omer and I then joined forces. And since then it has evolved into a very different caliber of an idea. And I think Omer can go a little bit deeper into where we are currently in the stage of what we're building and what exactly MindStash really is.
Yeah, so from what started with a side project to really solve a personal problem, more and more people asked, including me, about if we can get our hands on it, because we shared the same frustration and the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
And very quickly, both me and Cosimo understood that there is a true potential here, not only for a product, but for a business and a vision of creating the operating system for human curiosity. What What we started doing is building a whole business around that notion of taking a piece of information, capturing it wherever you are, feeding it into one space, and letting people explore it later on in their own terms, make the connections where they might be hidden otherwise. And people's enthusiasm around it has been tremendous. And beyond just the two of us, we started adding more people in the development, into the business side of things. Now we're just onboarded a new head of growth, and we are getting in a new CEO, CTO rather, to really kind of like build our team and expand the product into the greater market.
And I think what's also important to say is, obviously we're an AI company and a tech company, and we produce a product and an app and a web app, and it's like wherever you're in the digital space, you kind of can use MindStash. But what internally as well, we're saying a lot, and we're now starting to execute really is as well. We're not just a company who builds a product, but a movement and a philosophy and a community of people around that. And we also want to encourage people with this entire thing about curiosity. Is like curiosity has so much value that is so undervalued, and though it is the driver of so many of really human traits and is part of the human evolution and is a driver to innovation and understanding, curiosity is the thing that connects people. And we want to facilitate that connection as well in the real world, not just in the digital world. So that is a big part of our company as well. It's not just building a product, but building a community, a movement, and a philosophy.
To me, this sounds really cool. Like I remember when Omer and I met each other at the TNW, already told me a little bit short about your idea. And that's actually when I started looking through my phone, actually, of screenshots I took in the past, and I never looked at it again. Because at the time I thought, this is great. And then I was like, wait, didn't I take a screenshot of this once upon a time? But this sounds like a real solution to I want to say the mess of my phone library at this point. But yeah, but it's also interesting the background that you guys have, and that this actually started with, I want to say okay, this is a very hard word, philosophical discussions, and that you guys got into actually building an app around it, the idea.
Yeah, I mean, like I think this is also the nature of how both of us operate, and what we see more and more is the talent and the people that we attract to work within MindStash. It's a lot of people who are curious about a lot of different areas. And if that's philosophy, mathematics, engineering, biology, evolution, art, marketing, music, there's so many different. Everybody who is at MindStash and is kind of attracted into that field has such a wide array of interests. And I think that speaks kind of for the brand and what we're building, because we're all about curiosity. And I can tell you most people at MindStash are extremely curious. But as well as like what we embody in our product and our idea and where it came from. It is not a tool for just one discipline. It is not a tool for just solving one problem, but it is an operating system. It is a way, it is changing the relationship we have with technology and the relationship we have with our mental landscape and our digital landscape. And I think also in our thinking, both of us are quite philosophical on the one hand and extremely practical on the other, because we both have technical background as well. And I think it is fascinating to see also in the world of technology nowadays, there's so much possible just from a technical perspective, but often it takes as well thinking from a psychological, from a neuroscientific, from a philosophical perspective. Okay, how do you want to shape a product? How do you want to shape a company and everything that is evolved around it in order then to actually create the deliverable, which is the product? And yeah, I'm very happy to have like so many people in the company that come from these various arrays of backgrounds and bringing different schools of thoughts into that as well.
Oh, I think it definitely sounds like a great addition, the diversity of your team. But I would also say what you're developing actually is solving I want to call it a daily problem for a lot of people since we moved into the digital age. And the huge amounts of libraries and stuff we're paying cloud space for, but we actually never look back at it. And you guys are actually making it possible to actually I want to say, get curious later on when you actually look. I assume when you open the app, that you actually get options of
so
stuff.
It re-engages with you and it kind of connects the dots for you to be like, hey, now you're suddenly interested in, I don't know, a podcast about XYZ. But then this relates back to something that a couple of months ago you captured. And it brings this back by relating it back to what's currently there. So all of the things that you often never look into, now they're in kind of a safe space. They exist. They've been researched for you. They've been giving you the first inch of insight.
Mm-hmm.
And now whenever you interact with the system, the things that are most relevant to your interaction suddenly come back into your consciousness.
So we already talked about why you guys created MindStash, but what inspired the creation of MindStash?
Well, it was a personal frustration of
That's usually how these,
constantly having the
that's usually how these things start.
exactly of constantly having the issue and the problem of like, I find super cool information that people tell me about, and I somehow try to record it, but I never be able to engage with it or come back to it, nor does it come back to me. And then eventually, like one morning, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Well, you know what'd be cool if I just send myself an email, then that goes to some magical AI service, does some magic and puts it into my database. And then once a week, it sends me like a newsletter of coming back with all of the information I found that week pre-researched. And that was kind of the first initial, really super scrappy prototype of MindStash. At that time, it was still called Find Assist, I think. So horrible name. But yeah, so I shared it with a couple of friends of mine, upon which Omer and people were super passionate about it. People were like, I want to have this. Where can I get it? Can I give it to my friend? And I'm like, nope, it's just running on my local machine. I can't actually share it with you. So in March, I decided to like double down on that a bit and programmed out the first kind of web app of MindStash and kind of improving it from this initial script that I was running, and building out kind of a pilot. And then we kind of started from there and we saw more and more traction. People are being really interested in it and passionate about it. And then Omer and I joined forces. The stars aligned, some commitments lifted off us. And since then, we just went all in. And yeah, now we're launching the app product on the App Store in a couple of weeks. And they're doing the final rounds of beta testing and so on. And the team has grown since then pretty rapidly. So yeah, this is kind of where it originally started, is really this personal frustration that I saw for myself and I wanted to solve, but that I saw as well in so many other people. I saw constantly people making screenshots, opening another tab, sending themselves WhatsApps or emails. And it's that behavior is already there. And then it was just the second thought of like, okay, let's simply tap into that behavior. If people still want to keep sending themselves email and WhatsApps, no problem, you do you. It's just send it to your MindStash address and it just goes directly into your kind of single source of truth for everything that you're curious about. And it's creating this ever-evolving context-aware personal curiosity companion. So yeah, this is where it kind of came from.
Yeah. Oh, so you can even actually, so you just see your MindStash account and it will add it to the pile.
Yeah, essentially you CC or send it directly to safe@mindstash.app. And it will automatically recognize the email address and link it to your account. So it's like we were trying to, like with all of the behaviors that are already there, just linking into that. And if people like working that way, great. But there's a more optimal solution there, and we just tap into the same behavior.
I feel very much next to AI, there's also very much neuroscience tapping in here as well.
Yes, definitely. I mean, both of us have studied the brain throughout and are extremely passionate about it. So a lot of the architectural design behind MindStash is very inspired by the functioning of the human brain. And also looking into the future, there's going to be more and more neuroscience being incorporated into how the system evolves and connects things for you. And again, really stressing the intersection between artificial intelligence and biological intelligence and seeing where the intersection really lies.
And Omer, when you heard this idea, you were like, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like from the very first moment, I want it in my phone now, yesterday. And I was so enthusiastic about that being out there in the world that I started to talk with like all of my friends, my family, my colleagues, and I saw the passion and the enthusiasm in their eyes. And that's where I was like, okay, this is not just Cosimo's side project. This is not something that is only fit for him and me and some other people who are curious about a million things. This is stuff, this is something that so many different people can incorporate in their own life and are passionate about. And it's hitting a nerve and real pain point that so many people have. The amount of people that we spoke to that are like, yeah, I do send myself like in a me, myself and I WhatsApp group reminders or the things that I want to look into. Yeah, I have a million screenshots in my phone, never to be looked again. Yeah, I have like 500 open tabs, no idea where the music is coming from. And it's almost like this personal and intimate pain point that people have themselves. And they don't share it with others because often the things I want to capture are for myself. And now there's a new way of doing that with MindStash. People can capture it for themselves, create their own kind of like Pinterest of their own curiosities. One system that is beautifully designed and can really incorporate and combine all of the different things people want to look into. And the thing is, now it's also easily shareable. So I think it's going to unlock even more enthusiasm, because curiosity, if you really look at it, it's like that itch, that intuition of what people want to discover that they don't yet know, or the things that they want to capture. And often when they do find out, they want to share it forward. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to where this thing will develop, and seeing also how people will use it, because the way Cosimo is using it and myself is totally different than you will. So
And I think that touches also an important point in regard to how we're designing the system, which comes back to the neuroscience aspect of it. A quick anecdote to that. Yesterday, I looked at our org chart, and I looked at all the people that we just like kind of onboarded and building the team and refining the structures at the moment. And I think it was something about 60% of the people at MindStash currently have some sort of a relationship to neuroscience or psychology. And around 60-70% as well have a technical background. And I saw them being like, I did not realize that there's so many neuroscientists here. But yeah, that's an anecdote on the side. But what comes back to the neuroscience of the system as well, which Omer just said, is I'm going to use it differently. Fleur, you're going to use it differently. Omer's going to use it. Everybody's going to use it differently for their own different things. And the system needs to be built in a way that it can accommodate all of that. It is not static. It is an organic architecture which is constantly evolving. So with every interaction you make, it is more adapting to your needs, to what the insight is that you want to get and what is most relevant to you. And there's different use cases, and all of the use cases are kind of organically ever evolving and developed for the user to give the best possible experience they have. So no two curiosity companions of MindStash are the same. They're all kind of individualized and adaptive.
No, but this also makes to me, like also that you're saying that everyone is using it. Also, what you guys are actually building at MindStash makes me even more interested. Like, oh, if you guys are also actually really using it, that tells me something as well, that it's something that's very helpful in daily life.
Yeah, in daily life, and also like just
Also
for the company as well. I mean, like it's every time something comes up in conversations where I'm like, that's important for that marketing campaign we're doing, or that could be important for the product team, etc. Like I just MindStash it, and it just I know it's secure. I know it will be taken care of. So it has this both like personal, like indulging into curiosity and following these passions, and which ultimately brought us here as well. But then as well, from a work side of perspective, it has a similar utility. And also, if we think about, okay, what really is curiosity and how does it play into our lives, is like, well, what I realized kind of, if I look at the last few years in the meandering path from like mathematics, philosophy, to working in tech, to studying neuroscience and AI, to now building an AI company, looking back, it all makes sense. But the journey to that point is just connecting the dots of different curiosities and following them and creating passion and understanding more and more things and following that scent of curiosity, being like, okay, why does this work this way? How is this related to that? And I think there's an inherent value in what curiosity is and how it makes us human, and how we move through the world and through our lives in both the professional and personal sense.
No, I think it actually makes me feel like so I know, like when you do interviews, for example, when you apply for a company, they always ask you, are you organized? This feels like MindStash, it might be a solution to that question of like, am I organized? Yes, I am. You can show like, look, I have an AI that does it for me. MindStash.
Exactly. It's self-organizing.
Exactly.
And for our interviews, we also ask, what are you curious about? Which is for us is almost more important than how organized are people.
And honestly, this is an interview question that I think more companies should be using, because the insight you get into people of what they answer when they say, when you ask, what are you curious about, as a very, very general, broad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a real sense of who that person is from a character, from a drive, not just in a professional setting, but from a personal side point as well. And so I've been really enjoying reading the responses from all the people that applied to the what are you curious about.
What was what's the craziest thing that you actually heard that people are curious about? Since you are asked that question when people start working for you. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think some like really long answer regarding déjà vu that incorporated like the neuroscience of it, the philosophy of it, the way that we perceive memories and information in general. Like they wrote like a small essay just talking about their curiosity about deja vu, and after reading it, we had to interview them because I was curious myself about like where all these questions lead them. Like, do they have answers? And so
Did they have
so
That,
answers? Did they ended
and
up having any answers to deja vu?
only more questions, which is good. And I think that's one of the interesting things about the pursuit of knowledge generally. Each answer brings even more questions. And I think in today's world also, when there's so many different tools and AI, the best behavior and character that people can have is being able to learn and to be lifelong learners. The best way to learn is to be curious about the new things, is to be curious about where can my own mind can take me and how can I use a certain tool in a certain way. And this is where creativity and also productivity and progress is coming from. So I think generally in the next decade, we're going to hear the word curiosity so much more.
and also kind of going a bit off the whole productivity and curiosity side of things. What I think is if people are curious about something, and I realize that in my own working as well. If I'm curious about what I'm doing, curious and passionate, my productivity goes through the roof because curiosity is an internal motivational drive. Without going too deeply into the psychology of things, but it's what drives us internally to reach something, and that leads to productivity, that leads to innovation, that leads to scientific discoveries, etc., and leads to understanding. But following curiosity and indulging in it, and really going with that flow and the flow state has an enormous effect on productivity and work output. And that is something that only like over the last few months I really was able to conceptualize of how interrelated these two concepts are and how little they have been talked about. Also looking at the literature, there's a lot of literature on neuroscience of curiosity and productivity, but there are some links, but it's something which has been yet underexplored. Yet to all the professors and neuroscientists that I'm talking, they're like, yeah, there is this enormous link and we need to investigate this and dive deeper into researching.
Okay. Well, I think this is definitely, I don't know. To me, it sounds I'm very much curious of trying out MindStash myself now. So the way you guys talked about it, like I love the enthusiasm, but also that you guys talked about like your entire team is actually using it, what you guys are building, and to actually get more productive, but also to get innovative as well. Since I know I've met many founders that are actually now absorbed in LinkedIn, but don't want to be because they actually want to focus on innovating. And I think with this, like with the screenshots and you can actually focus on innovation, that would be even greater, especially as inventors. It's a lovely loop that you always end up in.
Very much so.
I think the big question would be, since you guys are saying you're launching within a few weeks. By the way, I love that you guys also are doing the first public appearance on my podcast. Besides that,
Of
where
course,
do you?
wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, awesome. I was curious. Also, I think maybe the world is also curious. Where do you guys see MindStash going? Actually, the next like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, so what we're building is the operating system for human curiosity. MindStash, the consumer app, is the first phase of that. And we want really people to use it and to indulge in it and give us the feedback so we can iterate and make it better and expand more ways of capturing different types of information. And the next phase will be as well to, once people have their own curiosity companion, their own Pinterest of all the things that they found interesting in one place, how it connects to the rest of their digital ecosystem and how it connects to their own personal ecosystem. Because there are so many things that I'm curious about that I want to capture into my own knowledge base, but I also want to share Cosimo with. And now as our team is expanding, I want to share like the rest of Team MindStash, the thing I found, that article, that event, and just sending a million links around or screenshots is really not a good way of doing that. And we are probably will move forward from a personal companion into a personal companion that people have the agency to also share parts of and creating collaborative spaces to indulge in creativity, curiosity, and either work or studying.
Yeah, and the thing kind of going off that as well, like our long-term aim, and I think if you're talking about 12 months, that's for startups decades. And especially in the AI space, what wasn't possible 2 weeks ago and what's possible now, it's a completely different story. And that's what is so fascinating about this space we're operating in as well. But if you're looking kind of like 12 months in ahead, from the way we are designing the user interaction and the UI UX, the whole experience that we are creating for people to operate within that operating system is gonna change dramatically to what we're used to in terms of normal technology. And that also goes into the paradigm shifts that we're in user interfaces and generative user interfaces that are now more and more coming. We are on the edge of innovation in these paradigm shifts, both what's possible in the API, in the AI qualities and how we're designing the architecture around that, creating new types of databases to evaluate knowledge in a different way, to pushing the boundaries of large language models, but at the same time pushing the boundaries of what's possible from the interface point of view. And that's where I think some of the largest shifts and also like globally in technology will happen over the next year or two. And this is where we want to be at the forefront as well. And this is something which is very deeply ingrained within MindStash. It's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible and preparing for what we assume is going to be possible in 12 months. So these things we can't talk about right now, but there's many things that have been laid out and planned to build off of what we're doing now, where we're building the foundation, the piece in one, and piece by piece, we're putting that puzzle together, which is the operating system for human curiosity. And that's the direction we're heading for the next 12 months and beyond. And really getting that to as many people as possible around the entire world for as many different use cases and all languages.
For everyone, MindStash will be available.
Essentially.
Love this.
And if you're going back to the neuroscience of this as well, sorry, I keep bringing it back, but the architecture is designed in a way like the human brain is designed. And that's where we're going into the universality, is because the behavior and the experience we're giving for the user and are going to give is designed for the human brain. And that's where we can even create this universality in the future.
Yeah, I think this is a great summary of what you guys are creating and also where you're going for the next 12 months. I want to thank you guys so much for being on this podcast, also for this making your first official appearance. Feel very honored. Yeah, so everyone who's listening, definitely check out MindStash when it comes out. It will be available in the app stores. I assume I'm going to say Google and Apple. So
Google coming soon, Apple coming first, and obviously the web app as well. If you just go at mindstash.app, you will come to our website and you can log in directly from there as well.
Awesome. Well, when it comes out, I will link it in the summary, in the description, in the podcast. So anyone who's curious, please do click it, check it out. I always say any AI that comes out, check it out.
Brilliant.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. To everyone else, like and subscribe, and see you all at the next podcast episode.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll send you first an early invitation for being a beta tester. So don't worry.
All right, everyone. See you next time.